As the evenings draw in and it starts getting dark earlier, you really notice how different familiar routes can feel: quieter, emptier, and sometimes just that bit more unnerving. Even though I talk about personal safety every day, the darker evenings always seem to change how we move through the world. And I'm not alone in that. A survey commissioned by ITV last year found that 81% of young women aged 18 to 25 say they feel unsafe walking home in the dark. That's 8 in 10, and it shows this isn't just about fear, it's about reality. The darkness changes how we feel and how we move through the world. So, as the nights draw in, we thought it was the perfect time to share some practical, confidence-boosting ways to stay safe on dark nights, whether you're walking the dog, heading home from work, going for a run, or getting off the train late. I'm Julie Waite, women's safety advocate and co-founder of Streetwise Defence. And alongside me is Dene Josham, a 30-year security professional and former bodyguard to stars including Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie and Russell Crowe. Together, we're here to give you real-world safety strategies, expert insights and practical tips that help you feel more confident wherever life takes you. So Dene, even when you know what you're doing and where you're going, the dark just feels different. Why is that? What do you think about that? And I'd also be interested to get your perspective as a man, what it's like going out in the dark on your own.
Yeah, I think, well, we're visual creatures, so it's just built in us. You know, our brains are still very prehistoric and we're built to survive. And when it's dark, obviously that something within us triggers us to sort of pay more attention, to be more tuned in. And that's what I think is just hardwired in us, because we're survivors, and that's potentially can pose as danger. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, for me, when you said that, does it affect me as a man? Yeah, massively. Not to the extent that women, like it does women. But for instance, last week I was in London training. I was at a hotel. I could see where it was, but I'd have to go down a alleyway. Now, I'd already looked at Google Street Maps and that, so I had an idea of where I was going. And I'd looked down there. It was quite well lit. And I just thought, do you know what? I know I can go around. It was a little bit longer, but I thought, I'm more comfortable doing that than walking down the alleyway, because you kind of go alleyway, yeah, it's lit, it looks okay, but I don't know if there's any alleyways off it. You know, it to me just felt wrong, and I thought, right, I'll go a little bit longer around to get to the hotel. But yeah, I think it affects us all. It's just a natural instinct in us to, darkness can hide danger.
Yeah, it's a biological thing, isn't it? Instinct, a survival mechanism. And it is that thought that it's because you can't see, it's the unknown, the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously in the daytime, that alleyway, you'd probably be able to see right the way down and through and clear through it.
Yeah, I hope people take a lot from this, because, as a big bloke, yeah, I still concerned when it's dark, and I know it poses potential dangers because people can hide and manipulate situations and the environment. So yeah, it is in my mind.
I think most people feel some element of fear when they go out at night, especially I know a lot of women do, myself included. Even when you know what we know, you're on a higher level of alert. When I go out, I wouldn't say I'm scared. It depends where I am, but you're on a higher level of alert. And I think that is normal and natural, but you don't want it to become so that you're like, you don't want to go out and you're scared to go out and you've got panic and adrenaline running through you every time you're out, because that's not good and that's not healthy. It's about being switched on enough to know that you need to be looking and noticing what's going on, but without actually living in fear. Yeah. So I think that's today what we're going to do. We're going to go through some tips and advice to help people manage, those dark evenings, so that you'll still feel some level of uncertainty and heightened awareness, but you won't be like going out feeling scared, because that's not nice for anyone.
No, definitely. I think we have to realise everything has an element of risk, whether you're boiling a kettle, whether you're walking on an icy path, and you have to look at it, I think, like that. You go, okay, there's an element of risk. I'm aware of it. And that's the big thing. If you're I think for us and other people in the industry, because you're more aware of how things really happen, I don't think I'm paranoid. I'm just more aware and observant of different situations where I go, okay, I'm aware that this might be a problem point, or I'm in this environment, so I need to sort of tune in a bit more, rather than probably maybe like, if you're not aware, you're kind of oblivious. You can be oblivious to it, and that's not a judgment. It's just, if you don't know, you don't know.
Mm. And I think it's also worth saying that statistically, you're actually more likely to be assaulted in the summer. That's what statistics say. When people are out and staying out longer, there's been maybe like people out daytime drinking. You may be not paying attention to what's going around you. So even though it is dark outside and you feel fearful, statistically, you are less likely to be assaulted during the darker months as well, because I think, you do take more precaution. You stay at home, might get a lift, whereas in the summer you might, walk somewhere on your own. So I hope people might take a bit of comfort from that as well.
Yeah, you've got to look at how our habits change. As I get older, my habits change. I see it with my mum, who's 84 now. Her habits change. So winter habits are very different to summertime habits. So that's what, the darkness, you think, oh, we're more at danger, which potentially can be. But when you look at the statistics, you might be potentially more at danger at home or at the workplace, because especially for women, they're the most two dangerous places for women, which is insane to say, but that's what the statistics say. So if you're spending more time at home because you're not going out with your friends, or socializing or doing stuff because it's dark and you're sort of staying home, then you might be at more risk by a partner or somebody known to you, family member, which that's the reality, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So the dangers change. Yeah.
So the first section we'll look at is about planning ahead. What are some things that people can do to plan ahead when they're going out on a dark night to keep themselves safer?
Is it necessary? Think about it. Look at the route you're going to take. Have you been there before? What kind of knowledge have you got? The what if game, running through things in a calm environment where you sort of go, okay, what would happen if I was walking down this happened, that happened. So it's understanding where you're going. Like I did the other day, I looked at Google Maps Street View just to get an idea of where I'm actually going, so I can mark sort of like, okay, I'm going to go up there, and there's going to be a Costa Coffee or a shop that, and okay, when I get there, I need to turn left. Understanding the ways and options you've got. Shortcuts, depending, I'm not a massive fan of, because it, like instant the other day when we was training a company, one of the persons said that a lot of people go on the tube, and the way they go, they actually go under a bypass, which the lights aren't working. So, okay, under the bypass, the lights aren't working, and there was a different route round. But what the company did is they contacted local authorities and said, look, under this bypass, the lights aren't working. So actually, the local authorities went and put all new light bulbs in, which totally changed the dynamics of that underpass. And obviously saying to them there is like, okay, if you're going to use that and those lights are on, that's a lot better for you. Can you go in small groups or in twos or something? Safety in numbers. It's just a little bit of forward thinking to looking at your options and going, okay, what's the best option for me?
Yeah, I think the shortcuts thing is a big one. It's like, it's so tempting when you want to get home or you want to get to somewhere to think, oh, it'll be all right. I'll just go on this shortcut. But I remember the very first self-defense training that I sat in on with you. I remember there was a girl in her 20s who shared a story of her, and she was actually with her friends. They took a shortcut. I think they'd been out to get pizza or something. They took a shortcut across a park at night. Again, kind of knowing that it's probably not a good idea to go across a dark park at night. And they got mugged. And then a few weeks later, they'd gone out and they were found themselves in the same situation, and they said to themselves, oh, well, it won't happen twice. And they took the shortcut across the park and they got mugged again. And it's just not worth it. I always say to myself, I always have this little moment when I say to myself, no, just like, if it takes a bit longer, if you have to like take that extra few minutes to do the thing that's going to keep you safer, or to go a different route, or to stop and make a call, or to ask for help, or whatever it is, just always take the option, even though it might inconvenience you a bit, that's going to keep you safer.
Yeah, definitely. It's understanding your area as well. I know there is websites where you can check postcodes to find out what's going on in the area. And it's that knowledge of where you are, where you might need to avoid. A bit like that, for any park at night, for me, it's uncomfortable and I avoid it at all costs. So can I be smarter? And looking at it like that to go, okay, it's that natural. I'm in a rush. It's like, but the main thing is getting home, being safe.
Yeah.
So it's sort of pausing sometimes and stopping yourself from overriding your instincts to go, well, I'm just being daft. I've walked through there many times. Oh, it's a little bit dark. I'm going to be okay. You might be okay, but is there a smarter option for you? And it's being kinder to you. You shouldn't have to do that, but reality is reality. It's like, okay, how can I be smarter for myself to stay safe?
Yeah.
And also, and the varying stuff as well, I always say to dog walkers and that, varying your routines and stuff and times you go out, just to mix it up a bit and have that, you're not setting a pattern, you're not setting a behaviour, you're kind of mixing it up a little bit. So you're being kinder, safer to yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's understanding how attacks and things happen. Some of them will be opportunistic, but some of them will be planned. And that might just mean that someone sees you from their home or from their work or from wherever they are, jogging or getting off the train or walking the dog at the same place every night. And then it becomes much easier for them to plan an attack. Whereas if you are going out at slightly different times, running a different route, switching things up a bit, then that can really help you avoid those kind of situations.
Yeah, that's the horrible thing, isn't it? Bad predators hunt other people, and they're gonna put everything in their favour. So from the bodyguarding days, setting routines is a bad thing, because if somebody's watching us and they've got something bad intention, or whether it's or paparazzi waiting for a picture that we don't want them to have with a client, then just mixing it up a little bit, just being aware of what you do. Like, I'm sure people listen to this, if they walk dogs, I'm sure they do things different in the winter than in the summer, and I think that's a smart thing. You're adjusting to what's going on, and you're being more switched on to how you do your daily activities.
Yeah. Just on what you said before on playing the what if game, which is what we talk about, is going through different scenarios in your head and thinking about what you would do. I find this really helpful. It's almost like that thing where, where you get an athlete and they visualize the outcome that they want for the race or whatever it is. It's about going through different situations. For example, if you go jogging every evening, going through the situation and just thinking, well, what would happen if someone stopped me? What would happen if someone was following me? What would happen if a car pulled up? All the different situations, and just having in your mind a little plan of what you would do. And then that means that if that situation should happen to you, you should then react in the way you want to react. Because we often get asked by people, what if I freeze? What should I do? How can I stop myself from freezing? And of course, you never truly know what you're going to do in a given situation. But if you can prepare mentally for a situation, then instead of just being in an absolute panic because a car has started crawling behind you, following you, and that you've never even thought what you would do if that would happen, you've got an idea of, like, there's something in the back of your head where your subconscious can go, okay, I've sat and thought, if a car starts crawling behind me, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, so I think that's good, just to spend a bit of time. It's not a very nice thing to do, but in all your situations in life, if you spend a bit of time thinking about what would I do if.
Yeah, and having them conversations with people you trust as well. Like I always say in group sessions, and I'm like, talk to each other. if you trust each other and you're friends, then you can talk about uncomfortable situations, and you don't know what other people might share. They might have experienced that and, oh, I did this and that really worked. And you go, oh, I never thought of that. And that open discussion, like you said then, you know, if you was ever in a situation you never experienced before, if you thought about it, not saying, you know, you still might freeze, but you've thought about it. So it's going to be in your subconscious somewhere. And hopefully in that situation, you'd recall it and go, oh, right, I could do this and do that. So you've got, like you said there, you've got a bit of a game plan there and you've got something to work off.
Yeah. So the next section that we wanted to look at was about being prepared. So small things that you can do or things you can take with you that will help you feel safer on dark nights. I want to kick this off with my favourite little gadget that I just, I'm giggling a bit because my kids laugh at me because I'm so obsessed with this little torch that I've got. It's like, honestly, it really, to take a little torch out with you when you go dog walking, jogging, whatever, really changes how you feel about the dark. And I found this little torch. I will link the blog below. We've got a blog on self-defense gadgets, and I've got the link in there. It's a little torch. You can recharge it just by plugging it into like your phone charger. It is super, super powerful. It's like under £10, super powerful. It's got all these different modes, like a strobing mode, and it's even got an SOS mode where it does like Morse code in SOS. I'm not sure I'd ever use that. But it is so bright that it helps me feel more confident. One, in that I can see all around me, and if there's an area that I'm coming up to, you know, a bit further ahead, I can just shine the torch and I can immediately see, is there someone in that corner or is there not? It also makes me feel more confident in that I think you look more confident when you're walking along with a torch because you're obviously someone that takes your safety seriously. And then potentially as well, it is so bright. Like I know just from kind of messing about with the kids, if you put that torch on, I'm laughing. I actually got one of them the other day, had their phone, and I was trying to get the phone off them, as you often do with teenage kids, and the torch was on the side, and I picked it up and I just shone it at them, and I just went, stand down, and I put the torch in their face and they're like, ah, Mum. It was so bright, like you have to kind of cover your eyes with it. So potentially even with that, you could, you know, hold it in someone's eyes or whatever. But I'm getting a bit overexcited about this torch. But
yeah,
compared with previous years when I've gone out in the dark without a torch, I'd feel so much more at ease with this. And just to say, don't use the torch on your phone because you could potentially be setting yourself up for people that want to snatch a phone, like an opportunist that wants to snatch your phone. So that's my number one thing for being prepared.
Yeah, it's that looking at what you're doing and what can help you. So yeah, dark nights, a good whatever torch you can afford, but the more powerful one, like you can light up further distance. Like you said, then you've taken precautions. You've actually thought, oh, got a light. So again, you've kind of putting yourself not above, but more prepared than somebody who hasn't got a torch. So again, you're kind of, you know, highlighting self that you've thought about it. You've got a torch, and you know that can really help you. Yeah, it's going to highlight if anybody's lurking about. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's all things like that, little things that potentially can help you. You know, in whatever you're doing, giving it that little bit of time and going, okay, I can get a good torch for not a lot of money, but that can really help me in making sure it's charged up and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I think also, again, we've got other podcast episodes on this, on like self-defense gadgets, having something like a personal safety alarm, having that on your bag, or, you know, if you're running, having it on your running gear, that can help you feel safer, and it's something that you could activate as a deterrent. We always say don't rely on these because, you know, a safety alarm can't fight someone off, and there's no guarantee that anyone will come.
Yeah.
But it could potentially deter someone because they are very loud. And again, the one that we recommend that's in our blog, that also has a strobing light on it. So I don't see why you wouldn't carry one with you. It's just something extra to have.
I think it's that realisation that they can help you, but like you said, then don't 100% rely on them. Education yourself, trusting yourself, understanding yourself, and levelling your skills up, because we have to remember that potentially these are people who've done stuff before. They could be very versed at it, so we have to kind of level our skills up as well. Like with a torch, people, like that, or you can shine it in somebody's eyes. Yeah, you can. It might momentarily stun them, but it doesn't mean it's going to stop them. A bit like an alarm, you can pull an alarm, and depending on where you are, what's going on, it might not make any difference. So it's like, okay, that could help me, but not 100% reliant, apart from being reliant on yourself.
Yeah. I think they're all little extra things that when you're talking about like £10-20 for these gadgets, I don't see why you wouldn't take them with you as just an extra thing that you can have. Phone apps as well. I'm not so big on phone apps. I think, one, because you then have to try and, you'd have to have the phone ready to activate an alarm. And when you're activating an alarm on a phone, the person or people who are in your group, your emergency group, like what are they going to do? How are they going to get to you in that situation? Yes, have a phone, have some tracking on your phone and all of that. Again, there's no reason why you can't have it, but I'm not really convinced that that's going to do much in the moment. It's not going to deter anyone. It's not going to make any noise. And you potentially then are wasting time trying to get the phone and activate it, unless there's like a way to do that really quickly.
You've got to look at it in reality, and that's where a lot of things can fall down. Like you said, a panic app, if you get a chance to press it, have you got a signal? Whoever it's going to, have they got a signal? How long are they going to get to you? All these things you've got to realise potentially they might not work, or do they actually work in a real situation? Have you used them? Have you practiced with them? Like a torch, that's great, but if you've only got it 10% charged and you're out and then it suddenly dies on you, it's looking at it going, okay, what? Like with an alarms and stuff. Oh, I've got an alarm on my bag. When's the last time you used it? Did you charge it? How are the batteries? So, it's looking at things like that as well in the real world to go, what is the reality of this? So panic, like people, oh, I've got a panic app, I'm good. It's like, yeah, but you're going to get a chance to get it out of your pocket, especially if you're really adrenalized and, got fear racing through your body and you're trying to casually put out your phone. Oh yeah, I can press an app. Or, ring 999, all them simple things when you're calm and there's no danger are quite easy to do. But when you're in that stress situation, you might drop the phone, you might not be able to find your torch or alarm. So it's looking at it realistically as well.
Mm-hmm. Other things you can do is, we talked about the phone there, but if you are going out, make sure it's fully charged. So that if you do find yourself somewhere and you maybe need to call for someone to come and pick you up or call for some help, your battery's not dead. We always say memorize a number, memorize someone's phone number, so that if your phone gets stolen or dies and you need to call for help, or you need to ask someone to call for help for you, you can actually, you've got a number that you can call.
Yeah, I was in London the other day, and if you're driving about, I was thinking, if you're driving about and you get a flat tyre, okay, I carry it's like I can't remember the word for it. You put it on your tyre, you blow it up, it puts
pump thing,
rubber stuff in it, and it's to get you home. So things like that, when you're out, it's like, do I want to change a tyre at 2 a.m? Depends where I am, why I'm out at 2, and all these other things. So that could be a quick fix to go, right, I can put that on, I can get out of my car, put that on, I can fill the tyre up, hopefully it'll stop the puncture, I can get home. Filling that tyre up will take me maybe a minute, rather than, oh, I've got to take the tyre off. So, all right, it might knacker my tyre, but I'm home, I'm safe, and okay, it's going to cost me 50 quid for a tyre, but I've taken myself out of trying to get a tyre off, faff about, and what's going on. So I've reduced that element for the offset of, okay, I've got to buy a new tyre. And also what just popped in my head there, I remember years ago, working on nightclubs and pubs and stuff like that. There were some women and it always used to make me smile, because they'd come out of the club and before they went out, they'd pull out a pair of flat shoes. I'd have their high heels on and everything, and they'd put flat shoes on. I'm like, and she goes, oh no, my feet are really hurting. But also behind that, are you going to run faster in a pair of flat shoes than a pair of 3-4 inch high heels? So little things like that, I thought, oh yeah, that's the smart thing to do, because you're walking home. How do high heels serve you when you're walking home? A pair of flat shoes probably serve you better.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you can think about what you're wearing and staying warm, making sure you've got footwear that you could run in if you need to run. Running is, to me, running is one of the main things, main escape, main kind of self-defense options that you have if you're out on your own, walking the dog or walking home. And you don't want to be getting into fights. Before all else, you run.
Yeah.
So, and you'd know instantly if you've got an issue, because they'd have to keep up with you. If you think about, can I run fast in this, in whatever it is, or then, like you said, do I need to take a change of shoes when I come out of work and I've got that walk, from the train or whatever?
Yeah.
Do I put some shoes on that I could run in?
Yeah. And I don't think it's like, oh, I don't want to get in a fight. It's not, in that situation, if something happens, it isn't a fight, is it? It's violence. It's of a different level. Also, that's if you can run. Now, I did some workshops at a Women WI a few weeks ago, and one of the ladies, one of her concerns was she was a little bit older, she restricted mobility, and she was like asking me, what if somebody comes up behind me? And I'm like, well, okay, it's understanding that she didn't have the ability to run. So, like I said to her, can you adjust where you go and what you do so it's more friendly towards you? So she was aware of her physical ability, so running wasn't an option. So, okay, if that's not an option, what else do I need to consider or do to help me? So it's again understanding yourself, in it. If you can't run, you don't have that ability, or you're restricted or whatever, then okay, you've got to work it out differently for you.
Yeah. And I think that's where then some of those other things like the alarm and things like that could help someone in that situation, because they have at least got an option that if someone's following them and they feel uncomfortable, they could activate that alarm, which may deter them and may attract attention of other people around them, rather than thinking I've not got any options and there's nothing I can do, because there's always something you can do.
Yeah, it's an uncomfortable truth, isn't it? It's probably not some of the answers people were hoping for, but you're dealing with reality. It's like if you've got to go out with your friend walking because you're safer, then, that's reality, isn't it? And it shouldn't be, but it is. And that's what you've got to look at objectively and analyse and go, actually, when it's winter, I'm not going to do that because I feel more at risk and I'm not comfortable. I need to do something different.
So we are going to pause there, and we are going to continue our discussion in part 2, which will be coming soon. There's a lot to get through, a lot to take in. We want you to be able to digest all of this, make some changes in your daily life, and you can catch up. If you don't already follow us, you can do that by subscribing, whatever platform you're on, whether you're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. If you subscribe, then you will automatically see our next episodes pop up. And until next time, stay safe.